called life. We appreciate you being here. See my shirt today, The Heights, courtesy of Nate Champion keeping his word, but really Ben Swank. I got to give him the credit here on making sure that this Heights shirt came here into the studios and onto my person. But big ups to Moyne College, our exclusive multimedia marketing partner. We are going to be ringing in the new year with Bob Beretta in just a moment inside of these Cafe Kubal studios in monpazpopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We'll start off the show as we do on Wednesdays with our Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. So here with AD and DT, the first one of 2023, with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, speaking on the teams that are currently in motion here in 2023, and we'll get into the excitement around the Heights in this new year, as well as the Transformation Committee and some other things going on for the Moyne College Dolphins here in Central and Upstate New York. Then after we speak with Bob in hour number one, we'll go to Georgia TCU and talk about the college football playoff romp. I said the way it was going, it would be 50-7. Well, it was worse. It was 65-7 when all was said and done. We'll get into that here in hour number one. And in hour number two, we'll start a new video for you on YouTube as well as on Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, for our Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour on the Fantasy Wildcard Round. And we'll get into the reality of the matchups as well. So plenty to come here on Wake Up Call inside of the Cafe Kubal studio, starting things off picture in picture with good friend and someone that we appreciate and respect so very much here in our community, one of our fantastic leaders, not just Moyne, but around this country, and that is Moyne Athletics Director Bob Beretta. Bob, how are you today?
I'm excellent, Dan. Thanks for having me. How are you today?
That are coming up here, and I know there's a lot of excitement around the Heights for Moyne, so I wanted to kind of just broad scope it here and let you tell everybody kind of what's going on here, the Finns frenzy and different pieces that are happening on the Heights that we can be excited about.
Yeah, lots to celebrate here in 2023 already, Dan. Thanks for having us and give us the opportunity to talk about those. We're welcoming our students back to campus this weekend. However, our winter athletes have been back since right around the new year. In some cases before that, our basketball teams had competition on New Year's Eve, so they were back right after Christmas. And now we'll welcome the remainder of the student body back. So vibrancy on campus continues, and we're excited always to welcome our students back. It's a little lonely when they're not around, so it's great to have them back. And from an athletics standpoint, we have some really exciting things planned. We are planning a major promotion on February 4th. A doubleheader with our basketball teams that day, a Finns frenzy, if you will. We want to invite the community to come out. We're going to have the Baldwinsville High School Band here performing for us, and we're really excited about that, changing the environment in Ted Grant Court. But we'll do so many other things. We have promotions and giveaways, team autograph sessions set up, in-game promotions, and certainly performances by our cheer team, our dance team. And we're really trying to create ball teams to really celebrate Lemoyne. I haven't been able to pull a promotion like that.
Was featuring the doubleheader with the women's soccer team and the men's soccer team, and you and I had spoken about looking at doing this here during the winter season. What kind of put it all together for you that you wanted to have this and you wanted to bring something to Ted Grant Court after you brought it to Ted Grant Field?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. They've done that before in the past, pre-COVID, prior to my arrival, and really explored it last year. Wanted to try and reconvene a group, but we were told by our sports medicine professionals that it was probably best not to go down that path quite yet, with the uncertainty with the health environment and being our seasons. We're planning one for the spring as well, around a lacrosse doubleheader. And again, it's just a community together, not just our Moyne campus community, but our greater Syracuse community, to come out, enjoy, experience what a Moyne athletic experience is all about, really, to just enjoy that. And we'll have giveaways for folks coming in and T-shirt tosses on 3-point shots during the game, and more to follow. We'll have some details on our website here in the next week or so. But yeah, really just a strong desire to build community, Dan, and within the confines of Moyne, of our campus environment, but also our community at large. And I think that anytime we can promote what we have here and bring visitors to campus, Moyne, the culture, the campus, our leadership, all sell itself. And so we want to expose this great institution, our Jesuit gem, as President Lemure refers to it, to as many people as possible, and then really just celebrate celebrate the opportunity to spend time together again, and really cherish those opportunities to watch our athletes follow their passion. So that'll be fun. And then we'll do something like that around a lacrosse doubleheader in the spring. And then we also have two really special events that we've just kind of begun planning as the calendar flipped for. We started some early planning last calendar year in the fall. But this is the 30th. This will be the 30th season of women's lacrosse here on the Heights, and also the 75th anniversary for the baseball program at Lemoyne. So more to follow as far as details on that, but we're going to have some celebrations around both of those programs, around games in the spring, and more details to follow as we announce that. But again, more opportunities for our community to gather and celebrate our heritage, our past, and also what's directly ahead, which I think is a really exciting future for Lemoyne athletics.
Yeah, there's a lot of amazing things coming up, like you said. 30 years for women's lacrosse, 75 years. We're looking at the connecting to the baseball program. Some really amazing things that you have the opportunity to celebrate and be here for. I mean, you have had an eventful AD opportunity there at Lemoyne. I mean, you come in, there's you get to kind of get a feel for the Heights. There's a pandemic, those happen every couple of years, right? So you have something like that, and then you get to experience history being made, a bunch of different coaching changes and bringing in people and seeing programs blossom like Yaro Zavislan and what he's done with women's soccer. You get to see coaches like Tom Bonus continue to be effective, and Jeff Lonzak and whatnot. We get to see men's and women's lacrosse fight and get better and move forward. Volleyball has a new head coach now. There's so many things that have been positive through a very trying time for us, and Lemoyne has been a piece of so many of these positives. And then, of course, when you talk about Mary Grimes with women's basketball and Nate Champion with men's basketball, it's easy to talk about the positives. So let's jump into that as we are in season here for men's and women's basketball, and just what this has been like for you to see these two teams and these two coaches continue to move forward and find their way through a very difficult NE10, which they're both performing well at. And when you have a winning record and you start off strong in the NE10, that can bode well for you down the stretch, as you and I both know.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with our basketball head coaches. We brought Mary Grimes in here really a month after I arrived. She was our first hire that we made and brought Mary in, and she's just terrific. In her first year, 17-8, won the division, the Northwest Division, went into the NCAAs with a small group, really a rotation of about 6 and 7 due to injury issues and some other player situations where she got caught short a little bit in what she inherited in terms of just the player transition. And then again, off to a great start again this year. I think 10-4, I believe our women are off to a great start, amongst the top third of the NE10. And the men, tough loss last night, 6-3 in the NE10, 9-8 overall. Tough loss to St. Anselm, which is projected to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams, if not the top team in the NE10, and we battled until the end. We fell back by about 17 at one point, and then fought back until the very end, and got it down to 6. So I think that both of those programs have had milestone victories already this year. I think both will contend for NCAA berths. Again, the women were able to garner a berth last year. The men fell shy, but I think both of those teams will be right on the cusp and will be battling for a cherished NCAA invitation throughout the winter. So fun to come out and watch those teams play. Really exciting brands of basketball, both on the men and women. They both like to play up tempo, shoot the basketball, have that strong perimeter game, and then also an inside presence. So really impressed with both of our coaches and the work that they've done here. And as far as me personally, Dan, there's just so much goodness around this campus, and there's so many opportunities coming out of a pandemic. We were able to reset a little bit, reset the bar, and reset our priorities. And we did that as a staff. We set an operations plan last year to take us through this calendar year. It's kind of a formula of strategic plan, if you will. And part of that is celebrating our success, celebrating our heritage. I'm really big on those type of things. So when we have opportunity milestones. We want to celebrate the great Dolphins that have played here on the Heights in the past and those that are to come. We have a lot to brag about. So I think for us, it's I'm a big external guy that's big in trying to celebrate and bring people together, and that's been a major focus for us now that we're clear of the worst parts of the pandemic. Still mindful, certainly, of effects that are out there. But now we have a little more flexibility to hold these types of events and celebrate. And we're going to celebrate our achievements, our great student athletes, and those Dolphins that have gone before us every chance that we get.
Yeah, here with Bob Beretta, the AD of Moyne College here in AD.
About 4 shows together if I was to cover all those things, Dan. But I think I've learned a lot. I've learned so much that it's hard for me to imagine. But I think more important than what I've learned, it's what's been reinforced to me. And again, when I went through the interview process and started speaking to leaders on campus, people like President Lemura and the board chair, sense of passion for this institution, what we stand for, our mission, our place in the community, who we are, our character set, our values. And I walked away from my first visit to campus feeling that before I even had an opportunity to speak to any leaders. So I think in the 2 years that I've now been on campus, almost 2 years, all that's been reinforced. And so while I've learned so much about leadership and the industry and interactions and who we can be as an institution and as an athletic department, I think most importantly, those thoughts that came to mind have all been reinforced, and it's all about goodness. We talk, one of our mantras is goodness meets greatness, and that's truly an incredible moniker for Moyne, because it's so true. It's so much goodness on this campus, and we aspire for greatness. And I think you've seen that here with our athletic department. I am a high energy guy, always looking to move the needle forward. Try to improve our program a little bit every day. Just try to elevate, move that bar an inch every day if we can, if not a foot. And if you string a bunch of those victories together, you look back in time and you'll see all the ground that we covered and the experience. It's all about providing our student athletes with a championship experience, with an extraordinary experience. And we work hard to try and do that every day. And also a big part of that is making our student athletes aware of their heritage in the past. So I've learned so much here. But I think most importantly, so many of my initial thoughts have been reinforced about who we are as an institution, our leadership, and it starts at the top with President Lemura and our board chairs, Bob Riclitis and Pete DeLaura, and all those great leaders that really steer the direction of this institution.
And coming here from Bob Beretta this morning, Moyne AD and DT, telling you why Moyne, which is what we started with in one of our first AD and DTs. We learned about the first one we did is who is Bob Beretta, and after that it was why Moyne, why this school, why be a part of this Finn family. And I've definitely, and being included in that and being a part of this family and being welcomed with open arms from yourself, from Dr. Linda Lemura, from the teachers, students, student athletes, coaches, it's a different world up there, Bob. And I know that there are so many colleges and universities around the country telling their stories, but there's something about being on the Heights, and you and I have spoken about this a lot, and the stories that I get to tell. You find good people. You find good coaches as a team, and then those coaches find good players, good student athletes, good people. And what that eventually does is, yes, it turns into winning, right? We just saw a sweep for men's and women's swimming. We know, like I said, what men's and women's tennis can do, what women's lacrosse has done recently, what men's lacrosse has done consistently, what men's soccer has done, how women's soccer is getting better, how baseball has had some incredible moments. Tracy Roman, and you and I got to see how the softball team is behind her in such an incredible way, in such a genuine way. So, as we talk about all these sports, cross country, track, so on and so forth, and really get into the reality of good people finding good people. You said where greatness meets goodness, right? So these great people are finding goodness in our community and beyond, bringing that here and expanding that. It's not a mistake when you can go to any program, any coach, and sit down with their student athletes and hear just these genuine, kind, moral, value driven people that have been through adversity and found their way. I'm moved by every story we get to tell, every journey that these student athletes have been through and these coaches have been through. So I think the biggest thing to be excited about in 2023 is that it's no accident what we see at Lemoyne, because it's just good people finding more good people.
It is. It really is. And that's where it starts. It starts with our coaches. We want to make sure we hire the right people, and we want to make sure that they bring in the right student athletes. Just a testament to the academic prowess of our student athletes. We just received our fall semester grades back for the 39th consecutive semester. Our student athletes combined for a GPA in the term of over 3.0, 39 semesters. That's incredible. We're talking about nearly 20 straight years of that. Our student athletes combined for a GPA of 3.3 plus. Once again, 20 of our 21 teams had GPAs of 3.0 or better. We've only had 21 of 21 once previously. We're going to get that in the spring. We're not too far away from that right now. And how about our CUMEs? The CUMEs of our student athletes, 20 of our 21 teams over 3.0. So that just speaks to they have the priorities in order. Academics first, our academic mission. That's what we're here to do. We're here to support the academic mission and the community mission and the role that we play in the community. That's what we're here to do. And we can use athletics to leverage that platform. But we have to also be very mindful. We like to win. We want to be successful. And we had 7 teams go to the NCAA's last academic year. Right now, hopefully, we're gearing up for that this winter. And then the spring, we have several teams that will be in competition for those cherished NCAA spots. So we want to win in all factors of life. We want to win on the courts and then off the courts. It's important for us to be tremendous contributors in all sectors of our society and our community. But I make no mistake about wanting to win. Like, we want to win on the courts. That's important to win championships. It adds to the experience. And if you're excellent in one, you need to be excellent in all facets of life, not just one or the other. So athletics and competition, really important that we're successful on the playing field, because it's all part of the entire picture. And as I used to say, even when I coached at West Point and before that in my travel team, you can't be excellent in one phase of your life. You have to be excellent across the board, and we strive for that.
Yeah, and striving for that excellence, we get to see all of these stories being told and these different pieces coming to fruition here on the Heights, and knowing that stories that will be told soon enough here for 2023. I do want to make a note of the fact that we know when we're going to get to see our softball team on the field and our baseball team on the field. So I'd love to make a quick note on that, as we get to see the schedule releases and the opportunities for Tracy Roman to lead her softball team and Scott Cassidy to lead the baseball team.
Yeah, we just announced our men's lacrosse schedule last week, our baseball schedule this week. We'll have softball and women's lacrosse coming up either later this week or next. We're going to be really successful in the spring. It's going to be fun to be around the Heights. I have great expectations. Our men's lacrosse team, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder already. They were preseason number 9, and talking to head coach Dan Sheehan, he can't remember the last time we were picked below 5th. So we have some players. We lost a lot of talent, but we have some players that no one knows about. Again, we lost in the national semifinals last year. And this team historically competes for a national championship. Dan's won 6 of them. So I think that team's going to go in with a little edge, a little bit of chip on their shoulder. Our women, preseason number 3, they're going to compete for a national championship. They're going to be an awful lot of fun to watch under head coach Liz Bevel, also an NCAA team last spring. And then you have baseball under Scott Cassidy. Lost some talent, but I like where we're at. I think that we could take some folks by surprise there. And I've been saying this now for over a year. I think the dark horse, the team to watch here in the future at Lemoyne, is our softball program under Tracy Roman's leadership. That team is getting better and better every day. And I know some of the talent that she's bringing in here in the next year, and it's extraordinary. She brought some in already this year. Some of our young freshmen are going to play major roles this spring. And I personally know a couple that she's bringing in next year that are going to be program changers, to be candid with you. So that program is on a fast rise trajectory, and another team that we're going to have to keep an eye on in terms of an NCAA berth. So I'm really excited. The spring has historically been the best semester for us from a competition standpoint. Obviously, our basketball programs always significantly competitive and successful, and they garner a lot of attention. But our spring has been a lot of fun. Not to mention our two teams with Jeff Lonzak. They want to get ahead of ourselves and jump to the spring. We still have a lot of winter to go, and I like what our swimming program has done under Adam Sikowski. Fantastic. They swept Alfred yesterday. Home meet here on Friday beginning at noon. So come on out if you want to watch some swimming and a fantastic atmosphere in Vincent B. Ryan Pool. And how about our track teams went down to West Point last week and competed at the West Point Open. So a lot to be excited about. I hate to single out any team because I generally miss one or two, but I can tell you the trajectory of our programs straight up. Our head coaches, I love the work that they do. They're mission oriented. They're purposeful. We've already completed over 2,300 community service hours this academic year, which is amazing. And they have their priorities straight. And we're about winning championships as well.
That coming here from Bob Beretta and AD and DT this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to usher in 2023. Bob, final note here. The NCAA Transformation Committee has come up with their findings. I was looking through a bunch of different pieces to it and marked some of these elements that they have here and looking at the expansion, a lot of things having to do with Division I expanding basketball, potentially expanding baseball. They also, as you and I were talking about off the air, wanting to have a focus that there's going to be each sport is going to have somebody overseeing that they would like to have each sport so that it's not kind of micro managing or taking forever to get things done, that there's somebody for basketball, somebody for football. How does it affect Division II and where Moyne is currently at what the Transformation Committee has found out? How does that kind of hit home at this point?
So, Dan, the Transformation Committee, as you alluded to, released its final report last week, and that committee is going to be disbanded. Now, they may reconfigure it with new people, but those that served on that committee have completed their tenure. They submitted the final report, and now they've passed it on. And the NCAA convention, all those leaders are convening in San Antonio as we speak. I did not head out to San Antonio. I felt it best to stay back here. We have some things that really are pressing and need my attention here on the Heights, so I didn't want to travel, but we're sending some representatives from our department out there. And the Transformation Committee's proposals will be voted on by the NCAA Board of Directors. But having read the final report several times, in fact, I broke it down bullet by bullet for our ad hoc committee on athletics reclassification to synthesize that so that everyone could see what it means. I think what it means for Moyne in terms of, so the Transformation Committee, a big part of it was about what it would take to maintain Division I membership or to become a Division I member. And I think the industry was really holding serve until that came out because we really didn't know what that was going to look like.
Yeah.
After reading the final report, it really was not what we were expecting from establishing minimums and standards. There were a lot of recommendations in there. There's expectations, maybe not requirements. So you have to really synthesize all of that data, which we have. I think ultimately to become a Division I member, it might require adding a couple of staff members. And most of it was centered around student athlete health and wellness, physical health and wellness, mental health and wellness, potentially assisting from a career development preparation standpoint, providing latitude for student athletes to go back and complete their degrees if they're on full athletic scholarship up to 10 years after they graduate. Yeah. Potentially providing medical coverage 2 years after graduation for any injury incurred. So in a lot of those areas, they would have impacted us minimally. So I don't think anything that came out of the Transformation Committee final report would alter the direction of Moyne College in the future, whether that was to remain at the Division II level or to potentially look to reclassify to Division I. I don't think anything in there would preclude us from going to Division I, nor do I think anything in there would say, hey, we were thinking of staying, but we really shouldn't move. I think there are investment levels, but you continue to evolve and grow a program, and there's going to be additional investment required anyway. So I don't think there's anything there that would be overarching. Maybe the addition of a couple of staff members, 2 to 3 potentially, but all that still remains to be seen, because we might be able to share some of those services on campus, and they already exist. And in many cases, we're already providing our student athletes the opportunities that the Transformation Committee was recommending or is recommending in its final report. So more to follow. Obviously, the vote will take place in San Antonio here, I think today, with the board of directors. We'll vote on it. I would expect the entire package to be passed, but again, within the package, there's expectations and there's recommendations. There are some requirements, but there's nothing in there, I think, that's going to say, whoa, we need to completely change course of whatever we were thinking about.
Yeah, and like you said, it didn't give you essentially what you were hoping for, right? Some of these expectations of clarity. So what is Moyne, as you look at reclassification, realignment, we continue this conversation of, do you stay D2 or do you go D1? With a lack of clarity in the Transformation Committee's findings, that there would be more clarity or more, if you go to, like you said, you go to the ad hoc committee that you have there at Moyne for realignment and reclassification. How did that affect the way that you kind of delivered the information? Up to this point, we really haven't gotten any more information on where to go from here, the clarity of it all. How does it affect Moyne specifically, in the sense that there's still, in the NCAA, it seems to be a motif of vagueness?
Member institutions benefit. There weren't these harsh minimum requirements that could have limited schools that are currently Division I members. For instance, if they put a minimum in of you needed to sponsor X amount of sports in order to be a D1 member, or if you needed to offer the maximum equivalency allowed in 30% of the sports that you sponsor, or if there was a percentage of athletic trainers to athletes, and maybe you needed to increase your sports medicine staff exponentially. So those were things that we're really concerned about, because if they established those minimums and we wouldn't be able to execute on those things, we would really need to consider status quo. So I think from that standpoint, positive. It provides the flexibility. There's an expectation, and I do feel we act in every one of our actions is with the best interests of our students and our student athletes in place. I think if you look at the pattern of what we've done here in the last 2 years, we've added 2 full-time athletic trainers. We added a full-time strength and conditioning coach. We just added a part-time strength and conditioning coach. We added a sports nutritionist, a part-time member who is out meeting with our student athletes every single day. We shifted one of our leadership team members over into the student athlete wellness space full-time. So I am a huge proponent and advocate of student athletes. I was one. My daughter was one. I was a coach. I bring all those perspectives. So every move that we make as an institution, as an athletic department, is with the best interests of our student athletes in place. In fact, we have a leadership seminar that I work with our folks here on campus, and that leadership summit, January, with students across campus, but our student athletes will be part of that as part of our Moyne Way programming. Career development, we're bringing in leaders they can network with, learn how to write resumes, make contacts. So everything that we do is in my eyes, it's for the benefit of our student athletes across all facets of their time here at the Heights. So I think that I can't speak to other schools. Maybe they don't have the ability to prioritize as we have, but we have prioritized that. So I don't think there are things in that transformation committee that are going to take us and preclude us from. We haven't had a meeting since November. We're going to reconvene this week, and we'll meet again next week and just continue to update on what's going on out there. But really is one of, I think we're in great shape as an institution. We do the right things. We put our student athletes first. And really, that's what this Transformation Committee report is about. It's about putting student athletes first, about preparing them for life after athletics. It's about preparing them for the opportunity to go back and regain some of that success if they didn't take advantage of the educational opportunity and graduate. And it's also about making sure that they're taken care of after they graduate from a health and wellness standpoint if they incurred injuries while they were competing and representing your institution.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that, because that was going to be my final note. The fact that there is going to be this NCAA Transformation Committee putting things in place that you can go back and finish your education, and it'll still be covered and you won't incur that cost. And at the same time, that if you are injured while you are there, that there's going to be a plan afterward. It's not just like, oh, okay, you finished up your eligibility or decided to leave. Okay, so it's on you now. I like the fact that there is some connection to health and wellness as well as education, because those are things that have been concerns that they've gone by the wayside in recent history. So I do appreciate that they went after two key areas that really show the student and student athlete and the care for human beings and their wellness. So a good thing to see coming here from Bob Beretta. As always, Lemoyne AD and DT ushering in 2023. A lot of great things coming up on the Heights as we spoke about, and a shout out to all the teams. And I do want to shout out Adam Zakowski, as you have, for the men's and women's swimming sweep to start 2023. So much love and appreciation for them. And as always, Bob, I appreciate the time that you take here on the broadcast. Always look forward to seeing you, and always happy to be picture in picture, but more excited when we get to be in the same place. So hopefully we get to see each other soon. And as always, fins up.
Fins up, Dan. Thanks for the opportunity. Happy New Year to everyone. And we look forward to seeing you here on the Heights in the weeks ahead.
That coming here from Bob Beretta here on the broadcast, as we appreciate him very, very much. And a big thanks and to all that he has done for our community and for all of the wonderful people here in Central and Upstate New York. Dr. Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, airs for you every first and third Wednesday of each month. And, of course, starting off the new year here, we got to do it today. So we want to thank Bob once again. And on the weeks that AD and DT shifts out, we shift in the Dolphin Dive with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni telling their stories here on the Heights and beyond. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. When we come back here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, we're going to be talking about Georgia and TCU, that game that wasn't really a game, but we'll talk about it right after this on Wake Up Call. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're active actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Hope you're having yourselves a great morning this morning. As you can see, I'm donning my Heights shirt, The Heights. As you know, Lemoyne is on the Heights, so happy to be wearing one of these. Shout out to Lemoyne for fitting me right here with this awesome apparel. You can go to the bookstore, and that is right there on campus, and find some really incredible things on the Heights for Lemoyne College to show that you support the community, support Central and Upstate New York, and of course support your Dolphins at Lemoyne. So make sure you head over there today. A little bit goes a long way. Cafe Kubal, as I had spoken about before, located for you on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, as well as, those are all in Syracuse, as well as on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners. And that is in North Syracuse at their drive-through location. And you can find them by going to 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So make sure you head out there today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, and show them some love supporting local here in our community at the wonderful Cafe Kubal. And of course, you're watching and listening around the world on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT, and we thank you for doing that. You're also with us on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, where the MixLR feed is embedded. So if you don't go to MixLR directly, you can just go to wakeupcalldt.com, and you're with us on Facebook.com / LiveNowDT. With all of that being said, here where sports meets that thing called life, we want to thank you for being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And as I said before, always appreciate you, appreciate your time, and love having you here with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and during our special broadcasts outside of our normal broadcasting hours. So, we just heard from Athletics Director at Lemoyne, Bob Beretta, inside of our AD and DT monthly segment with Lemoyne and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. It is now time to jump into the next piece of the conversation. Georgia TCU. Was there a game? There was. There was a game. How did it feel? It felt great for Georgia. TCU, here's the thing. Now, did I pick TCU with my heart? I did. I've said during this year more than once that Georgia was the best team in the country, right? There were times where I thought LSU was the most dangerous team. There were times where I thought Tennessee was pretty darn good. And I had made mention in the ebb and flow of this season that to me Georgia was the best team in the country. best team coming into this game. And I picked TCU, knowing that it was a long shot, knowing that I very well could be wrong, and I was. But ultimately, I'm okay with my decision because I backed a team that didn't get the respect that they deserved. Now, TCU first came across my desk probably prior to this moment, but when they were supposed to join what was the old Big East before the Big East disbanded to the Catholic Seven and then took the name of the Big East and then ended up becoming the American Athletic Conference with what was left from Big East football, right? So when those things happened and we moved forward into the fact that TCU was not going to be a Big East team, which geographically it didn't make any sense, they went to the Big 12 instead. And in going to the Big 12, everybody talks about Texas. Everybody talks about Oklahoma. And everybody talks about I shouldn't say everybody, but some people talk about Oklahoma State. And some people talk about Baylor. But not a lot of people talking about TCU. If anybody talking about TCU. Well, that coach on the right side of your screen, Sonny Dykes, is somebody that I'm no stranger to because Sonny was at SMU coaching the Mustangs up against the Horned Frogs in recent years. He was the coach on the other side of things. He was the coach that was pushing up against TCU. And then TCU said, you know what? I don't want to keep playing this guy, so let's go get him. And TCU said, Coach, you could stay in the great state of Texas, but leave SMU and come over here to TCU, and let's start some history together. Well, while at SMU, when he took over as the official head coach, I want to say had his first official season because he coached the bowl game in 2017. But in 2018, when he was the head coach coming into the season, he went 5-7 his first full season coaching at SMU. Then 10-3, 7-3, 8-4, brought them to 3 straight winning seasons after being just shy of becoming bowl eligible in 2018. He's 5-7. All you got to be is 6-6. And then in 2022, he shifts over after 3 straight winning seasons with SMU, 3 straight bowl eligibility seasons for SMU. He shifts over to TCU this season, 2022-23, and goes 13-2, wins the Fiesta Bowl in the college football playoff semis over Michigan in the Big Ten, and then goes to the college football championship game, first time in the history of the young college football playoff championship game that TCU has ever made it. The CFP came to us just a few years back in the 2010s, and in the years of their history, we've heard Oklahoma, we've heard Ohio State, we've heard Alabama a lot, Clemson a lot, Georgia, and here's TCU advancing to their first college football playoff in general, and their first college football playoff national championship, and their first college football playoff semifinal win within the playoff en route to the championship game. So TCU in Sonny Dykes' first season going 13-2, winning the Big 12, going to their first ever college football playoff, winning their first ever college football playoff game in the semifinal round in the Fiesta Bowl over Michigan, and making it to the college football playoff championship. Not too shabby to, in your first year in the college football playoff, get a win and get to the championship game. TCU, now in history, a part of the college football playoff, which few teams can say, and they can thank Sonny Dykes and their squad for that. The hard work, dedication, and determination. Obviously, you have to thank the former coaching staff for some of the players that were there and some pieces that were already in place, the AD, and so on and so forth. But looking at this, Sonny Dykes helping to make SMU a winning program, and then he comes to TCU in his first season, makes them a college football playoff caliber team. But they went up against Georgia, Kirby Smart. And Kirby Smart said before the game, he was talking about hunting. that they were there to kill, right? They were there to hunt. And hunt they did. The Georgia Bulldogs, 65-7 victory over the TCU Horned Frogs. That is how the college football season concluded this week. It started, the postseason started on Friday, December 16th, with Troy defeating UTSA 18-12 in the Cure Bowl, and in the Bahamas Bowl, UAB defeating Miami of Ohio 24-20. All the way to the college football playoff between Georgia and TCU on Monday, January 9th. Almost a full month of postseason bowl games. Ends with TCU falling to Georgia 65-7. Now, this was 3-0, then it was 10-0, then it was 10-7, and it was a game. But that quickly got out of hand. This is how the game breaks down. Stetson Bennett, well, Georgia scored the first two, it was 7-0, and then it was 10-0. Stetson Bennett, 21-yard, untouched run on a quarterback keeper to the end zone to start off the game for Georgia within the first 4 minutes of play, getting them on the board 7-0. Then Jack Podlesny got the 24-yard field goal to make it 10-0. Then Max Duggan, the quarterback on the other side for TCU, he ran it in. So the first two touchdowns in the game were on quarterback keepers. Duggan runs it in to make it 10-7. TCU's only score of the game comes with 4:45 left in the first quarter. It was Georgia from there who would go on to score 8 more times, with Ladd McConkey getting the 37-yard pass from Stetson Bennett at the end of the first quarter to make it 17-7. And then Stetson Bennett on a 6-yard run, 24-7. Kendall Milton gets the 1-yard touchdown run to make it 31-7. And then Adonai Mitchell, a 22-yard pass from Stetson Bennett, make it 38-7 at the half. Coming out of there, Brock Bowers finally gets in the end zone after doing a ton of work in the field itself on a 22-yard pass to make it 45-7. That coming from Stetson Bennett. And then Ladd got another touchdown to make it 52-7. Branson Robinson had a 1-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter to make it 59-7. And Branson Robinson, a 19-yard run to make it 65-7 at the end of this game. Stetson Bennett. Let's say it again. Stetson Bennett. Let's say it one more time for the people in the back. Stetson mother freaking Bennett. I don't know what people are thinking. I don't know. Well, people talk about all these intangible things, or all these, I should say, tangible things. All these tangible things. This is his height. This is how tall he is, Dan. This is this and that. He can't do this and he can't do that because he's only 5'11", Dan. He's 190 pounds. Man, soaking wet isn't even 200 pounds. What's he going to do, Dan? Well, he's going to go to the championship game and make it look like Clemson playing Citadel. Those games that go 70-7? 65-7. Stetson Bennett, 18-25, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 carries for 39 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. 6 touchdowns on the day for Stetson Bennett. He was a part of multiple opportunities here. The team scored, folks. This team scored 9 touchdowns in the game. 9 touchdowns in the game. Okay? They scored 9 touchdowns. 5 on the ground, 4 through the air. Of those 9, 6 of them came from Stetson Bennett's arm or his legs. I don't know what Stetson Bennett has to do to earn the respect of some, but you know what? Sometimes the most disrespected players are the ones that kick the most tail when all is said and done. He's been at Georgia since 2019. He was a preferred walk-on turned starter, turned back-to-back national champion quarterback, folks. In 2020, he had 1,100 plus yards, 1,179, completion percentage, 55.5% on 155 attempts, 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. In 2021, in his championship season, he had 287 attempts. He was 64.5% completion percentage, he had on those 287 attempts, 64.5% completion percentage, 2,862 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. This year, 454 attempts, 68.3% completion percentage, 4,127 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So, the more passes he's attempted, the more completions he's had. Now, I'm not counting in 2019 where he attempted 27 passes and he was 20-27, 74%, right? I'm looking at 2020 to now as he's evolved into this team's leader. 55% on 155 attempts, 64.5% on 287 attempts, 68.3% completion percentage on 454 attempts. The more attempts he makes, the more completions he has. The more yards he has, and last year 29 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. This year 27 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So very close there for Stetson Bennett. He also went from 1 touchdown on the ground last year to 10 this year. 1 on the ground last year to 10 this year. In his first 3 seasons at Georgia, he totaled 4 rushing touchdowns. This past season alone, 2022-23, he had 10 rushing touchdowns, folks. Okay? That's what we're talking about when we're talking about Stetson mother freaking Bennett. 10 rushing touchdowns this season, 27 passing touchdowns, 450 plus attempts, over 4,000 yards, 68.3 completion percentage. What else does this man have to do? He plays in the SEC. He didn't play chumps. He played Tennessee when they were ranked number 1 in the country. Beat them. He played Kentucky, who was in the top 25 this year. Played Ohio State, played LSU, played TCU. Top ranked teams, high ranked teams, I should say. They played Oregon this year. Against Oregon, he was 25 of 31, 80% completion percentage, 80.6, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. Going to his game against South Carolina, who beat Clemson this year and Tennessee, beat them on the road 48 to 7. 69.6% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. Up against a team like Auburn that people trip up against, Auburn at home, 68.8% completion percentage and a rushing touchdown in the game. No passing touchdowns. Up against Tennessee when they were ranked number 1 in the country, that game at home in Georgia, wins that game with a 68% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown on his only attempt of the game. Then you fast forward to his game at Kentucky. 68.4% completion percentage, had an interception, and he did not have a touchdown in that game, but threw for over 68% and helped them win a close one, 16-6. Up against LSU in the SEC championship game, went 23 of 29, 79.3% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions in the game. Against Ohio State in a 1-point victory, 42-41, 67.6% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a rushing touchdown. And against TCU, like I said, 72% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Against the best teams he played this year that were ranked in the top 4 in the nation. TCU in the college football playoff, Ohio State in the college football playoff, LSU at the time 14th in the country, Tennessee at the time number 1 in the country, Oregon at the time number 11 in the country, and up against teams on the road that play spoiler at Kentucky, at South Carolina, Auburn at home. Those games, 80% completion percentage, over 69% completion percentage, 68% completion percentage, 68 again after that, 79.3, 67.6, 72% in the national championship game. What does Stetson Bennett have to do? Now people say, well, Dan, it's because of his receivers. It's because he has Brock Bowers and guys like that. Well, he's going to have to prove that in the NFL, right? Is it him or is it the receivers? He's going to have to prove that. Because if that's the case, then why did anybody draft Tua? He's in Alabama. They got good receivers. Why did anybody draft Mac Jones or Jalen Hurts? All those guys at one time were in the same room in Alabama, and now they're all starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So, if it was good enough to take them, what about Jalen Hurts' size? What about how he's not big? He's not muscular. He's not a big dude. Look at the size of Jalen Hurts. He can't do this. He can't do that. Well, look at Jalen Hurts right now. So, if you can make the excuse for one, you can make it for another. And that is where I sit here this morning. The level of disrespect for Stetson Bennett, in my opinion, is at an all-time high. It's at an all-time high. I shouldn't say it's at an all-time high. Let me not say that. It's not at an all-time high. It's been at a high. Okay? Jalen Hurts got 2 inches on him. 2 inches on him. 6'1". Okay? He's got some more weight on his body as well. Stetson Bennett, he's 6, so Jalen Hurts 6'1". Stetson Bennett is 5'11". Stetson Bennett has proven he can run. He's proven he can throw. He was a preferred walk-on. He was a preferred walk-on player. Not a scholarship guy, a preferred walk-on in Georgia, who comes to Georgia, pays his dues, literally and figuratively, and then becomes the starter on the team. When you're out there recruiting for Georgia and Alabama and Clemson and the like, Ohio State, you're going out there and you're getting 5-star guys, right? You're getting the guys that everybody wants. Well, Stetson Bennett, as a preferred walk-on, took a chance, bet on himself, went to Georgia, earned his keep. Didn't come out as that 5-star guy that everybody had to have. Oh, Stetson Bennett goes to Georgia and not Florida. Oh, Stetson Bennett goes to Georgia and spurns LSU and Auburn. No. Stetson Bennett, the preferred walk-on guy who a lot of people didn't know the name of. Then he makes his case. He goes out there last year. He has a season, national champion. And people start paying attention. This year, people still talking about Stetson Bennett's not big enough. He can't do this. He can't do that. He's only good because he's at Georgia. Well, he's going to have to prove that, right? Mac Jones had to prove that. He's a starter with the Patriots. Jalen Hurts had to prove that. Best team in the nation, Philadelphia Eagles, for the majority of the season, the only undefeated team in the nation. Now, they've had some issues as of late, but Jalen Hurts was injured. Then you look at Tua. Miami with Tua, really good. Miami without Tua, not that great. He has an immediate effect on the team. So the argument of, well, you're just good because your system, well, you're just good because of the players around you. When you have 5-star receivers and tight ends, you're going to look great. Well, Stetson's going to have to prove it, just like Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, as well as Jalen Hurts had to prove it, and guys before that, and guys after that. So we shall see. But I'm going to say something here this morning on the broadcast. I respected Stetson Bennett before we went into the game this time around. Now, did I think Stetson Bennett and Georgia were going to go 65-7? No, I thought it was going to be closer. But do I think that Stetson Bennett is a guy to be respected? Absolutely. Do I think he's someone you should overlook? Absolutely not. Is he somebody that has the capability of taking over a game? Well, he just showed you that on the nation's highest stage. So I think Stetson Bennett's not too shabby. And if I was a coach and I was a betting coach, I would take a chance on Stetson Bennett, pick him up, bring him in, see what we can do. Why? Because how am I going to hurt myself by bringing in a guy like Stetson Bennett who's won back-to-back national championships? I'm going to give him an opportunity to show me what he has to offer, and we're going to see what it is. Stetson Bennett, I hope your story is not done. I hope there's plenty more story to tell, and I hope that story's in the NFL. The college football playoff got ugly this year. Now, what does it say about TCU? Well, it tells you that Georgia really is the best team in the nation. But what does it say about TCU? Does it say that they suck? No. It says they got beat by a buzzsaw. They got beat by the SEC. The SEC is the best conference in college football. They have been, they are, and the way that they're going right now, they're going to continue to be. The Big Ten is not the best conference in college football. The ACC is not the best conference in college football. The Big 12 is not the best conference in college football. The Pac-12 is not the best conference in college football. It's just not. The SEC is the best. Georgia, I think at some point this season, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, Arkansas were all ranked. At least half of the SEC was ranked this year, if not more. Do not get it twisted, folks. TCU wasn't a bad team this year. They weren't a bad team. Now, I want to credit Ohio State for playing Georgia the way they did. Ohio State's dangerous when they get in the college football playoff. I don't think they earned their right to be in it this year because they hadn't gone through a tougher schedule, in my opinion, than some other teams out there, like TCU. But Ohio State played a better game against Georgia, and I'm going to give them credit for the matchup. I don't think they should have been in the game, but once they got in the game, look at how they played. TCU, what do you take away from this? Well, you take away that Sonny Dykes has you guys moving in the right direction in his first season there. You made history making it to the college football playoff. Winning a game in the college football playoff and getting to the championship game in your first time ever in the playoff. You put your guys on the international stage. You're going to help a lot of TCU guys to get drafted and drafted higher now. You showed the Big 12 that you're going to compete without Oklahoma and Texas because neither one of them had a really good year this year. It's just the fact that Georgia is better. And I said it this year. Georgia's the best team in the nation. Best team going into the game. Best team going into the college football playoff, I said. I went with my heart. I was hoping that TCU could do the unimaginable. But I never wavered on the fact that Georgia was the best team in the country. They are. They're the best team in the country. Hands down. Like I said, Tennessee had a shot. LSU had a shot. Best team in the nation, Georgia. They've proven it. Brock Bowers is an insane machine. Could he be better than Rob Gronkowski in the NFL? We'll see. Georgia had 13 players drafted last year. 13. And they went undefeated and won a national championship. They had a bunch of guys off their defense, guys that were injured and guys that moved on to the NFL, and they won a national championship. Georgia's backups were better than the rest of the entire nation. Better than Alabama. Better than LSU. Better than Tennessee. Better than Ohio State. Better than Michigan. Better than TCU. Georgia was that good. And they've proven that they can win when they have a changing of certain players in the guard. So congratulations to Georgia for being the best team in the nation, which I thought before this game. Congratulations to TCU for getting to the college football playoff, winning a college football playoff game, and making it to the championship in your first time ever in the college football playoff. There's work to be done at TCU. And Georgia, I think Georgia went easy on them. I think Georgia could have put up 80, 90 maybe in this game. What a fantastic finish for an incredible conference. And what a season to build on. And signs of positive hopes for the future for the Big 12. With that being said, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we'll take a step aside here for a fast break. When we come back, we'll get you set for hour number 2, the Fantasy Football Power Hour here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. I want to thank you for being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you so very much, and we thank you for being here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. We'll take a step aside and be back right after this to wrap up our first portion of the broadcast and get you ready for the Fantasy Football Power Hour, tackling the reality and the fantasy of the NFL wildcard round, coming up after this.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Q's, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here inside a wake-up call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, as we get set to bid you adieu on this video so we can start our fantasy football video. We appreciate you being here as always inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, where sports meets that thing called life. You see the 315 sign over my shoulder, as well as the 315 Syracuse with the new dome pillow, the 315 Home Sweet Home, as well as these beautiful things that you can hang up in the house. You can use them during the holiday season as ornaments, and you can hang them in general, because this is a year-round representation of upstate New York. And of course, we have some other pieces here that you can also put up, and those are your upstate New York, which they have apparel with this upstate logo, which is really, really cool. You could put these up as well. And of course, you can put up the upside down light that's right there by Coleman's here, the upside down light that Central New York is known for. So you can get any one of these ornaments, and I'm actually going to be giving something away here in the studio very, very soon. So make sure you pay close attention to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, because I'm going to be giving some cool stuff away. I feel the need. So we're going to be giving it away here on the broadcast on Wake Up Call, where sports meets life. So make sure you stay tuned coming up here within the next little bit here, as I'm going to be releasing some things on our social media, including a giveaway that I have going on. I might as well tell you because, there's a perk to listening and watching live, but I show this, I've shown this a bunch of times on the show. It is a 4-pack of all of the seasons in Cuse, the different smells that Witty Wicks has for our seasons. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter in Cuse. I'm going to be giving away this package on my social media, so make sure you pay close attention to Wake Up Call because I'm going to be giving this away very soon. So that's been here in the studio, and it's going to be given away this week. So I'm excited to do that with you where sports meets that thing called life. With that being said, we're going to start off our Fantasy Football Power Hour. So we're going to end this video. A big thanks to Bob Beretta for AD&DT inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne. And then we'll jump in. We also spoke about Georgia and TCU. So it's time to jump into our new video. For those of you on